Hi friends, welcome to day 2 of Card Week, and today I thought I would share with you a shaker card. So you'll see on my desk I have everything already pre-cut and ready to go. So I cut a piece of black cardstock, a piece of the gold cardstock that comes in the kit, a white backer sheet, and a piece of green from the 6x6 paper pad, and then a piece of acetate. Now the acetate doesn't come in the kit, but it's nice and easy to find, and you can also just use some clear packaging. That would also work. So first I'm starting out with the frame for my shaker card, and I'm going to adhere the frame to the acetate with my red line tape. So red line tape is really great. It's super sticky and it works great when you really need something to stick very well. So I'm going to line the entire frame with the red line sticky tape and then adhere it to the acetate. You saw that I cleaned off the acetate. I just like to make sure that it's nice and clean and there are no fingerprints on it. So I washed that with a baby wipe and then dried it off and made sure it was nice and dry for the adhesive. So just placing that red line tape down, and as soon as I have that all ready, I'm going to pull off the backing and place that onto the acetate. Now when I began my card, my whole idea was to make the shaker card and use the Stays On black ink and print onto the acetate with my stamp. So stamp onto the acetate with my black Stays On, and I kind of had to improvise halfway through because my black Stays On ink ended up needing to be re-inked. So I needed to decide on another way to make my shaker card work. So now that I have the frame adhered to the acetate, I'm just going to cut around the edge of that frame and make sure none of that acetate is sticking out. I put the red line tape just tucked inside the edge of the frame so I could tuck the scissors underneath the frame and cut real close to the edge, but not actually cut on the edge of the frame because I wanted the acetate to be completely hidden behind the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and leave all the links down below for you to be able to order this kit. And this card week is all leading up to World Card Day, which is on October 3rd. And over at Clique Kits, we're going to be having an online crop. So even if you don't have the card kit, you can join us for that. But we will be having an online crop, so make sure to join us for that. And there'll be giveaways and fun stuff to do, so make sure you stop by. So now that I have the frame attached to the acetate, I need to create space for my sequins to sit against the card. So I'm going to take this dimensional foam adhesive and I'm going to place it around the inside of that frame. And I like to do it nice and close to the very edge of the frame so the sequins don't get lost behind the frame. So I'm just tucking that right to the very edge of the frame. Now I am out of the foam adhesive that is in a strip. So I'm just pulling off the squares and lining all those up and making sure they're pressed right against each other so I can use these instead of the strip since I'm all out of it. So I'm going to place all these down, and I really don't mind using these except for, you'll see in a minute, now I have to take off all the backings to all those little squares and it takes forever. So So you'll see that in a minute. But first I'm going to stamp my sentiment. So I'm using the sentiment Congrats, and it came in the car kit. That stamp set is from Wildflower and Company. And as you can see here, I grab my Stays On black ink and I stamp it off once on a separate piece of paper just to check how it looks. And I find that that ink pad is needing to be re-inked, and it was just too dry, and so this stamp was not coming out very clear. And so I decided that instead of using the Stays On and possibly not getting a good impression on top of that acetate, that I would use my Versamark to ensure that I got a really good impression. So here's the Versamark, and I stamped it off again on a separate sheet of paper just to make sure it was a nice good impression. And here I'm just lining everything up on my card base. So I wanted to make sure it was perfectly in the center of my card base. So I'm going to use some washi tape, and I'm going to line that card base up against my grid mat and adhere that down, and then re-ink my stamp, and I'll use the grid lines that are on my stamp block and match them up with the grid lines on my mat. That way I know that my sentiment is perfectly centered on the card base and it will fit inside the frame of my card. So I'm going to clean up my stamp and put that away and clean up my stamp block, and then I'm all ready to finish assembling the card. So I'll move that card base after I check to make sure that the sentiment fits. And now all I have to do is finish putting the card together. So that is my magic powder bag, and what I'm going to do is the powder that is in there takes away static and it takes away stickiness, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it on the inside of that adhesive with a paintbrush, and that is just going to make sure that none of the sequins stick to that adhesive. So I got a little bit of powder on the acetate, so I'm just cleaning that off with a dry paper towel. And now I am all ready to pull all the squares off. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead in the video so you don't have to watch me pull all those little squares off. And then once I get all of those off, I'm all ready to fill the pocket with some sequins. So these beautiful sequins come in the kit, and they're gold and turquoise. So I'm just going to slide those into the top of the card, and then I'm going to bring the back of the card to the dimensional adhesive, and this is going to make sure none of those sequins fall out. So I'm just lining it up, and voila, I have my shaker pocket all set. Nice and easy. So now that I have my shaker pocket all done, I'm going to go ahead and finish assembling the card. So I'm going to adhere my shaker to the gold piece and then to the black card backing. So nice and easy card for today. Please stay tuned at the end for some still photos. If you have any questions, you can leave a comment below, and make sure to stop by tomorrow to see day 3 of Card Week. Thanks so much for stopping by, and have a great day. Bye-bye.